Welcome to another edition of PBA Basketball here on Triangle by 1891, as we have 2023 winter season action coming at you with the Columbus Vipers taking on the River Region Generals. I'm Derek Tate, flying solo for this broadcast, and we're going to go ahead and bring you the starting five, brought to you by Manscaped. And for the home River Region Generals, we've got number 0, Isaiah Haynes, number 2, Jalen Smith, number 3, Keon Brown, number 4, Terrell Hill, and number 15, Jerron Washington Thompson. And then for the visiting Columbus Vipers, one of the best teams in the PBA, we've got number 4, Cortez Cheney, number 6, Cornelius Thomas, number 10, Dre Brown, number 13, Jaquavius Bowick, and number 24, Anthony Daniels, as we are moments away from the opening tip, as both of these teams are looking to climb the standings in the Eastern Conference. And the Vipers, who are rocking purple jerseys with black numbers, are going right to left on your screen, while the River Region Generals are in white jerseys with gold numbering going left to right. A little bit of action as Anthony Daniels, corner 3, opens action here, and that one goes a little bit off the mark, off of Daniels Bowick, and they come up empty on their first possession. They're fresh off of a win against the Mississippi Phoenix, where despite the 41-point effort from Quintarius Porter, it was still the Vipers who came away with the victory, as Washington Thompson's pull step back mid-range jumper is off the mark. Both teams coming up empty on their first offensive possession. Dre Brown on the right wing, driving, finds a cutting Cornelius Thomas, and a good contest from Isaiah Haynes. Got a piece of that shot, and the Generals have possession and looking to get on the board first. Thompson. Ball finds its way over to a Terrell Hill, who gets into the paint, and a nice finish through contact. And the Generals are on the board and take an early 2-0 lead. Dre Brown tries his hand from downtown. That one comes up a bit short. Rebound handled by Jalen Smith, and he brings it across the midline. Generals with a 2-0 lead through the first minute of action. Haynes matched up against Bowick. Loses the handle, gets it back. Still can't quite get it to go. Gets another possession. Washington Thompson. That one just a little off the mark from distance, and rebound is snared by Cortez Cheney. Vipers trail 2-0 here in the early goings, and it's an offense that can hit you in multiple different ways. They've started the season red hot from downtown, as Daniels, his mid-range jumper is off the mark. Rebound handled by Washington Thompson, and here come the Generals. Haynes steps into a triple. Yes, sir. Isaiah Haynes knocks it in from downtown, and the Generals open up a 5-0 lead here in the early goings of this contest. Cheney fires a little heat check. No good. Anthony Daniels there for the easy putback. Vipers finally get on the board. Generals still lead 5-2. Haynes matched up, and that's Terrell Hill, and Hill now has 5 points on this contest, as back-to-back triples on the offensive side of the floor for the Generals. Cortez Cheney, his baseline mid-range jumper is off the mark. Rebound snared by the Generals. They push the pace, and all the way to the bucket is Keon Brown as he gets on the board. 8-point lead for the Generals here in the early goings, and it's an early timeout from head coach Angela Culliver of the Columbus Vipers. Vipers only have one loss on the season thus far, and certainly they have proven why they have made consecutive trips to the conference championship here in the PBA. Head coach Angela Culliver was named PBA Coach of the Year from the summer session, and she's been incredibly pleased with how this team has gelled, and there's been multiple moving parts. And for the most recent game, they didn't even have Alquan Mendenhall, who dropped 41 points earlier this season in a contest, and we saw Sharon King step up last game with knocking down 7 triples against the Mississippi Phoenix. So this team has multiple players who can light it up on a nightly basis, including Cornelius Thomas and Cortez Chaney, who were both first-team All-PBA team members from the summer session and averaged 20 points per game. As we resume action, Vipers with possession, trailing by 8. Darrell White checks into the game, and checking right in from downtown as Darrell White knocks it in from distance. And that chips away at the 8-point deficit. Now a 5-point ball game in favor of the Generals. And 3-ball corner pocket. That one goes for Keon Brown. He's now got 5 points. And the Generals answer right back with a triple of their own. Daniels to Thomas. Ball finds its way. Sharon King from distance. And he's picking up right where he left off against the Phoenix. He knocks down his first triple. Back-to-back threes on the last 2 trips down the floor for the Vipers. It's once again a 5-point game in favor of the Generals. Jerron Washington Thompson. Step back midi along the baseline. Comes up a bit short. Rebound goes to the Vipers. King. Waiting for a screen from Daniels. That ball poked free by Keon Brown. Saved by Darrell White. King over to Cortez Chaney. 3-ball. Not quite goes down. Rattles in and out. Rebound goes to River Region. And they still have a 5-point advantage. And looking to add to it, Jerron Washington Thompson turns it over. Outlet pass, and Darrell White decides to go right at Washington Thompson and draws the foul. We mentioned how Cortez Chaney and Cornelius Thomas were both first-team All-PBA members from the summer session. Well, Darrell White rounds out one of the best backcourts in the PBA as he was named with third-team honors this past summer session. Darrell White right now in the game has 3 points, going to the charity stripe and knocks down his first attempt. That brings him to 4 points and makes it a 4-point deficit, and he'll have one more. White goes 2 for 2 from the charity stripe, and now we got ourselves a 3-point ball game. At one point, the Generals had an 8-point lead on 3 different occasions. It's now a 1-possession game, nearly halfway through the first period, and Keon Brown's attempt from distance is just a bit short. Rebound goes to Daniels, and the Vipers can tie it up with a 3-point play. Instead, they go for 2, and that's Daniels, who now has 4 points. All of his work being done in the paint. Now it's a 1-point ball game, 1-point lead for the Generals. And the mid-range from Jalen Smith, a bit too strong, and ball goes off of the Generals. So the Vipers with a bucket can take their first lead of the contest. Trailing by 1 with 4:40 remaining in the first period. Darrell White tries his luck from distance again, and Darrell White 2 for 2 from downtown. Vipers have their first lead of the contest, 15-13 with 4:25 remaining in the opening period. Steal by Cortez Chaney, and they said he got a little bit of arm on Keon Brown's driving attempt. We'll see if they're going to call this one on the floor or call this one in the act of shooting. One thing you'll notice about both of these teams, they are not shy to get into passing lanes and test your handle out on the perimeter. Call was on the floor. Generals keep possession. Brown's attempt from distance, no good. Rebound goes to Darrell White. Vipers with a 2-point lead. Sharon King pulls from downtown, and boy, King and White are now 2 for 2 from distance off the bench. And the Vipers, all of a sudden, trailing by 8. Now they lead by 5. Just under 4 minutes remaining. Going down the other end, and that's Jalen Smith from distance. And the Generals answer with a 3 of their own. Back to a 2-point lead for Columbus. King, that one a contested attempt and trying to go through with the old rip-through move. And it does look like they're going to get the whistle on in the act of shooting. You see a lot of players on all levels of basketball now with that rip-through move. As Sharon King knocks down his first free throw attempt, he's got 7 points on the contest, extends the lead for the Vipers. And he goes 2 of 2 for his 3 free throw attempts. He's now got 8 points and make it 9. Perfect from the line, 3 for 3 on that trip. 5-point lead now for Columbus. Ball finds its way all the way up to Isaiah Haynes. His shot no good. Ball finds its way back to Jalen Smith. Another three-pointer goes. Jalen Smith red hot from downtown as well. He's got 8 points. 2 triples in the quarter. Cortez Chaney, he pulls from distance. We got a three-point show going on here. Cortez Chaney knocks it in from downtown. Lead swells back to 5. Back and forth we go. Both teams have the hot hand from distance. And a nice pocket pass leading Jerron Washington Thompson all the way to the cup. 3-point ball game in favor of the Vipers. Chaney in transition. Yes, sir! Cortez Chaney with back-to-back triples. 27-21 in favor of the Vipers. Goodness me. Now Keon Brown comes up a bit short on his 3-point attempt. Rebound snared by Thomas. Outlet up to Chaney. Generals get back on defense. Sharon King from distance. Are you kidding me? It's a 3-point show going on. Sharon King, 3 from downtown. He leads all scorers with 12 points. Vipers open up a 9-point lead. Terrell Hill. He tries his luck from distance. No good. Rebounds snared by Thomas. Here come the Vipers. Over to Chaney in the corner. They finally close out on him. Drops it off to King, who finds Anthony Daniels for a corner 3. Comes up a bit short. Final 2 minutes remaining in the opening period. It's been an active one. And it's a steal by the Vipers going the other way. Thomas drops it off to Daniels. 6 points on the game now for Anthony Daniels. And it's the first double-digit lead, the largest of the game for the Vipers, 32-21. Washington Thompson, nice mid-range game right in front of the extended arm of King as he knocks it down. Back down to a 9-point lead for Columbus. Final 90 seconds of the first period. Darrell White picks up his dribble. Drops it down on the block. I believe that's Sharon King. Check that. That's Anthony Daniels. Couldn't quite see. It does look like he was able to convert. He's now got 8 points. Here in the opening period, 11-point lead for the Vipers. And stepping into a 3 is Isaiah Haynes, and all of a sudden the Generals have gone cold from distance. 34-23, Chaney, heat check. That one off the mark. Sharon King gets the long board and buries it. 14 points in the first quarter from Sharon King, including 3 triples. He's 3 for 3 from the line. Now he's 1 for 1 from inside the 3-point arc, 4 for 4 from the field. Me, oh my, and how things can change so quickly. Angela Culliver's timeout works to perfection as a once 10-2 lead has resulted in a 34-13 run in favor of the Columbus Vipers. And it all has to go from distance. Chaney's knocked in 2 from downtown. Darrell White's knocked in 2 from downtown. Sharon King has knocked in 3 triples here in the opening quarter. And not to mention Anthony Daniels also has 8 points in the opening period. And all of a sudden, boy, it just flips like that. That's how dangerous this Vipers offense can be when they're clicking on all cylinders. And, you look at the River Region Generals, a lot of those threes were contested. It's not like they're standing there wide open and not getting to their rotations. It's just, it's good defense, but it's better offense from the Vipers. And the Generals had Jalen Smith, Keon Brown, and Terrell Hill that have all knocked in at least 1 3-pointer in this first period. And at times they've gone tit for tat with the Vipers from distance, but have not been able to keep up as of the last 3 minutes of action, as that three-point attempt from Isaiah Haynes is off the mark. And it's Sharon King, and he finally misses from the field, comes up a bit short, maybe even got a piece of that shot for the Generals. Either way, possession goes over to River Region. Final 30 seconds of the first period. Jalen Smith with possession and an 11-point deficit as the Generals are trying to cut into that and make it a single-digit ball game heading into the second quarter. Haynes driving baseline. Tough pull-up jumper, no good. Rebound goes to Daniels. Outlet right up to Cortez Cheney. Even break. Cheney into the paint. Yes, sir. Cortez Cheney now with 8 points in the opening period. 13-point lead, closing seconds. As that shot will not count, and it's the Columbus Vipers who lead the River Region Generals 38-23 at the end of one, as you are watching PBA basketball here on Triangle by 1891. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Montgomery, Alabama, as we have ourselves some more PBA action here on Triangle by 1891. It's the Columbus Vipers on top of the River Region Generals through one period by a score of 38-23. I'm Derek Tate flying solo for this broadcast, and if you missed the first period, you missed a 3-point barrage by the Columbus Vipers as they were able to knock down 9 triples in the opening period, including 3 coming from Sharon King, 2 from Darrell White, 2 from Cortez Cheney. As the opening possession, the Generals come up empty. They trail by 15 to start the second period here in Montgomery, Alabama. And the ball checked down. Some new additions here, and Brian Patrick, number 9, checks in for the Columbus Vipers. Joined on the floor by Sharon King and Darrell White, and that inbound pass is stolen by the Generals, and going the other way is River Region. Unfortunately, the newly checked in DeMarcus Fannin is unable to convert on the layup attempt. Generals come up empty off the turnover. Here's Cortez Cheney, who pulls from the corner, comes up a bit short. Vipers get an extra possession. Sharon King able to crash the offensive glass. They called that a jump ball. So we may see both players head to the free throw line and try to determine this possession. And it will be Jalen Smith who tied up Sharon King, and they'll jump it off. 9:06 remaining in the second quarter. Scoreless first 54 seconds of action. Here's the tip. Sharon King over to Cornelius Thomas. Vipers looking to add to their 15-point lead. And Sharon King, touch pass to Cornelius Thomas, a bit off the mark. Steal goes to Jalen Smith, and here come the Generals. Even break. Jerron Washington Thompson's midi is no good. Fannin keeps it alive. Generals with an extra possession. Jalen Smith matched up on Patrick. Ball finds its way over, and I believe that is DeMarcus Fannin who knocks it in from the left wing. I believe they call that a three-pointer. It's now a 12-point ball game, still in favor of Columbus. Vipers have been held scoreless through the first 90 seconds of the second period, and that's a beautiful drop-off pass and a nice block from DeMarcus Fannin. Good recovery. The drop-off from Thomas to Patrick, and Patrick looked like he had a bunny until Fannin was able to recover and get a piece of that shot. Defense off to a good start here for the Generals in the second period. It's Fannin on the left block, and his fadeaway jumper against White comes up empty. Vipers with possession. Darrell White navigating his way through traffic and gets the contested layup against Jalen Smith to go. Lead swells back to 14 for the Vipers. Generals with possession. 7:30 remaining in the first half. And pulling from downtown, beautiful bit of work. I believe that is Eugene Washington who knocks it in. Makes an 11-point ball game. Sharon King drops it off to Brian Patrick, and Columbus not happy that they did not get the whistle. It looks like it is out of bounds on the Vipers. Good start here defensively in the second period. Only 2 points and 1 bucket from the field, along with a couple steals, is what the Generals have done through the first 3 minutes of the second period, as Jerron Washington Thompson's three-pointer's off the mark. Rebound goes to Patrick, outlet over to Cheney, and here come the Vipers. Cheney, step back, mid-range jumper. Oh, got it. Cortez Cheney now in double digits with 10 points. Lead swells back to 13. Fannon's three-pointer off the mark, but a tip in from Eugene Washington, who now has 5 points. Lead back to 11 for Columbus. Hezzy by Cortez Cheney, and he tried to drop it off to Cornelius Thomas. Passes tipped out of bounds by Washington Thompson. Possession stays with Columbus. Active first period. 15-point lead, but the Generals have trimmed that down to an 11-point lead as Brian Patrick is working on the left block against Fannin, and his turnaround jumper goes. First points of the game for Brian Patrick. Lead now is 13 in favor of the Vipers, and DeMarcus Fannin tried to bring the house down here in Montgomery, Alabama with that dunk attempt, but lost the handle on the ball above the rim and couldn't quite put that one in the cylinder. Turnover goes back to the Vipers with a 13-point lead. Just over 6 minutes remaining in the second period. Darrell White gets the switch against Fannin. White drops it off to Thomas. Thomas, pull-up jumper. Just a bit short. Rebound goes to Washington, and here come the Generals. And despite the even break, it's a pull-up jumper from Washington. He's got 7 points off the bench. Once again, an 11-point game in favor of Columbus. Brian Patrick on the left block working against Fannin. Fadeaway jumper off the glass, no good. Rebound King. King goes up strong and gets the finish. Sharon King with a game-high 16 points. Lead swells back to 13. Fannin blows by Brian Patrick and gets the easy 2. Fannin with 5 points off the bench. This game just continues to hover around the 11 or 13-point mark. Sharon King working on Washington Thompson. Step back three-pointer, yes sir! Sharon King, 4th triple of the contest. He has a game-high 19 points. Lead swells back to 14. Keon Brown through 3 defenders, gets his own miss and goes up strong. The Generals battling on the offensive glass. Still a 12-point ball game, and on a beautiful entry pass. Cortez Cheney reading the defense and leads Cornelius Thomas right to the bucket. That's why they call him the floor general. Cheney able to dish out dimes to open Viper teammates. 14-point lead. 3-point attempt is off the mark. DeMarcus Fannin skies for the board and the easy 2. He's now got 7 off the bench. 12-point ball game. Just over 4 minutes remaining here in the second period. Cornelius Thomas working on the left block. Turnaround jumper no good. Rebound Fannin, and here come the Generals. They've got numbers. Tipped pass still finds its way to Eugene Washington. His baseline jumper just a bit too strong. Outlet pass, 2-on-2 break. And Brian Patrick loses the handle. Steal by Jalen Smith. Bringing it back to the other end. Mid-range jumper good from Jalen Smith. Smith now in double digits with 10 points. And we got ourselves a 10-point ball game, 51-41 with 3:25 remaining in the first half. Cortez Cheney, a contested triple that goes his third of the contest. He's got 13, and it's now a 13-point lead for Columbus. On the other end, can't quite see what happened. Some sort of loose ball foul. It looks like it's against the River Region Generals. And we got a timeout on the floor. 3:10 remaining in the second period. Vipers on top, 54-41 over the River Region Generals. So far, if you're getting caught up, it's been quite a three-point shooting display by the Columbus Vipers. Sharon King with a game-high 19 points. 13 points from Cortez Cheney, and we've also seen Darrell White knock in a couple buckets from downtown. 8 points from Anthony Daniels in the front court of the Vipers. But off the bench, here in the second period, Eugene Washington and DeMarcus Fannin have given the River Region Generals quite a lift. Washington with 7 points, Fannin with 5 points. They haven't quite been able to put a dent into the deficit heading into the second quarter, despite starting off very effectively, holding the Vipers to only 2 points through the first 3 minutes of action here in the second period. The Generals still have a little bit of work cut out for them, and it is Vipers' possession. As we resume action, they have possession with a 13-point lead. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the second period. Pass is tipped by Jalen Smith, recovered by Darrell White. Daniels, he gets his pocket picked. 4-on-1 break. Jalen Smith goes all the way to the cup. He's now got 12 points. A little fast forward in action. Thomas can't quite get his contested runner to go. Gets his own miss. No good. Daniels can't get it to go. Long board finally handled by Terrell Hill. Here come the Generals. 11-point ball game. Driving baseline. Beautiful take by Keon Brown. He could have possibly deserved a whistle there. A little bit of contact. Able to get that one to go, and it's now a deficit that's now in single digits. Darrell White fouled by Jalen Smith. A little matchup of two players, rocking number 2, and both have some words for each other. I'm sure they're just exchanging pleasantries. 9-point lead. Vipers with possession. Sharon King. King double teamed on the step back midi. Long board handled by Cornelius Thomas. Darrell White pulls from distance. That one off the mark. Rebound goes to Keon Brown. His pass is stolen right at the cup by Sharon King. Ball is on the floor and finally handled by the Generals. They've got a 4-on-2 break. Jalen Smith pulls from distance. That one off the mark. Rebound handled by Eugene Washington. Shot is stamped by the Vipers underneath the cup. Now they've got a break. Steal by the Generals. Up and down action. Washington pulls from distance. That one off the mark. Saved by Terrell Hill. Over to Washington and finally gets the runner to go. And we got a 7-point ball game. Up and down we go. Fast-paced action here in Montgomery, Alabama. Final 90 seconds of the first half. Cheney working against Washington on the left wing. Step back baseline jumper. Got it. 15 points for Cortez Cheney as he answers on the other end. Lead reads 11 points, 56-45 in favor of the Vipers. Nearly a steal. Jalen Smith alley whoopsie all the way to Isaiah Haynes, who puts the exclamation point on that one. Back down to a 9-point ball game. Good find from Jalen Smith. Cortez Cheney pulls from distance. That one off the mark. Nearly able to get his own miss. Jalen Smith gets the ball poked free by Cortez Cheney. Now both sides battling back and forth affair. 9-point game. Jalen Smith from distance, yes sir! Jalen Smith with his third three-pointer of the game. He's got 15. And it's now a 6-point ball game. 4-point ball game, 56-52, final 12 seconds. Darrell White drives, drops it off, and unable to handle the pass was Cornelius Thomas. And they can make this a one-possession ball game. Final 8 seconds. Haynes all the way to the cup, no good, and that'll bring the action to a close here at the end of the first half. It's the Columbus Vipers on top of the River Region Generals, 56-52. As you are watching PBA basketball here on Triangle by 1891. Welcome back to Montgomery, Alabama. We have ourselves a hotly contested contest as you are watching PBA basketball brought to you by Triangle by 1891 as the Columbus Vipers lead the River Region Generals 56-52 as we begin the third quarter of action. I'm Derek Tate alongside myself here in Montgomery, Alabama, calling this game as we have seen at 1 point, 15-point advantage for the Columbus Vipers in the second period, only to watch the River Region Generals come storming back to finish the second period, and we got ourselves a 4-point ball game to start the third quarter. Cortez Cheney had 15 points in the first half. Anthony Daniels jump hook in the paint, no good. Here come the Generals, and answering immediately on the other end, that looks like it's Terrell Hill from downtown. 1-point ball game in favor of the Vipers. They have possession, but the Generals have come storming back as Cornelius Thomas, nice crossover left to right and finishes with the scoop. Lead swells back to 3, but the Generals have finally started to see the ball go in the basket from distance as it was red-hot shooting from the Vipers. And boy, I just called it right there. Keon Brown from downtown, and we have a tie game just through the first minute of the third quarter of action. Darrell White fires from distance, no good. Rebound goes to Isaiah Haynes. Vipers get back. Generals reset. Stepping into a triple is DeMarcus Fannin. That one off the glass. Rebound goes to Darrell White. Here come the Vipers. Cornelius Thomas turns it over. Steal by DeMarcus Fannin. Outlet up and gives it right back to DeMarcus Fannin. Fannin can't finish. Vipers get possession. We have a tie ball game. Both teams turning up the pressure defensively. Cortez Cheney driving baseline over to Darrell White. Ball finds its way open to Brian Patrick. His three-pointer is no good. Rebound. Cortez Cheney goes right back up strong, and now he's got 17 points. Cortez Cheney has one of the best mid-range games in the entire PBA, and he's put it on display in this one. Vipers take a 2-point lead. Jerron Washington Thompson with the ball at the top of the key. Over to Haynes on the right wing. Back to Fannin. Fannin with the drive. Kick, and Keon Brown finishes, but there was a whistle prior to his drive. Looks like there was a foul on the floor against the Vipers. Inbound goes now to Fannin. Fannin pulls from the left wing. That one rattles in and out. Rebound Daniels as Columbus looks to add to their 2-point lead. Cheney, 3-ball, corner pocket that goes. Now all the way to 19 points on the game alongside Sherrod King as Cortez Cheney picked up where he left off in the first half. 5-point advantage now for Columbus. As Keon Brown loses the handle and another turnover for the Generals. Columbus with possession. Through the first 3 minutes of action, Cheney with a heat check. That one off the mark. Long rebound goes And all the way, it's Keon Brown who lays it up and in. Back down to a one-possession game, 63-60 in favor of Columbus. Daniels, spinning baseline, tough jumper. That one misses everything. Long rebound, finally handled by Cornelius Thomas. Extra possession for the Vipers. Kicks it over to Cheney. Cheney, up fake, driving baseline, a block from behind. And they're going to say Jerron Thompson, excuse me, got the body of Cortez Cheney. He is not happy about it. In his own form of frustration, runs all the way to the opposite end of the court with a smile on his face. Can't believe that was actually called. He did get ball, but they say he got too much body, and sometimes the ball don't lie if that's the case. Because Cortez Cheney misses his first free throw attempt, he will have one more. Cheney goes 1 of 2 at the charity stripe. 4-point lead now for Columbus. Again, it was a 15-point lead in the second quarter in favor of the Vipers. And going all the way to the other end and getting a whistle at the cup against Brian Patrick is Isaiah Haynes. We'll see if they decide to call that one in the act of shooting, and they do. So Isaiah Haynes will go to the line and can trim this deficit down to 2 points. Well, now it's an opportunity to trim it down to 3 points. Comes up empty on his first free throw attempt. As looks like Brian Patrick will go to the bench. Sharon King, who had 19 points in the first half, checks back in. It's 19 right now for Sharon King. Cortez Cheney has 20, and he's come out ultra aggressive offensively. Normally does a little bit of everything in distributing, but if he has any airspace today, he's been pulling. And speaking of pulling from downtown is Darrell White, who's been quiet since the first quarter, but knocks down his third triple of the contest. Opens up a 6-point lead in favor of Columbus. Terrell Hill over to Isaiah Haynes. Pull-up jumper, no good. DeMarcus Fannin gets an offensive board, and oh boy, Fannin pulls up limp on that, or gingerly, excuse me, on that left ankle. Might have rolled it up on another player's foot. And we'll see if DeMarcus Fannin is all right. Action stops, and looks like he ran off to the near sideline. Now you see him at the top of your screen sitting down and going to try to readjust his shoe and try to check the stability of that ankle. We resume action. 4-point lead for Columbus, 67-63, nearing the halfway point of the third quarter. Cortez Cheney. Pull up mid-range jumper. Off the mark. Sharon King gets an extra possession for the Vipers. Up fake, no good, but he was able to catch a River Region Generals defender in the air, and that'll earn him a trip to the line to shoot a pair. Cheney with 20 points, and Sharon King right behind him with 19. And King continues to be automatic from the charity stripe. 4 for 4 on this contest. Now has 20 points and make it 21. 5 of 5 from the line. Sharon King's been magnificent off the bench once again for the Columbus Vipers. Lead swells back to 6 points. Just over 5 minutes remaining in the third period. And pulling from downtown is Terrell Hill. A little too strong. Rebound goes to Darrell White. And the Vipers can make this a 3-possession contest. Sharon King, corner 3, just a bit too strong. Rebound goes to Haynes. Even break for the Generals, and a nice Euro step from Isaiah Haynes, who lays it up and in. Back down to a 4-point ball game. Isaiah Haynes now has 8 points on the contest. 4:35 remaining in the third period. Darrell White. Dribble handoff. Cornelius Thomas. Thomas, fadeaway jumper. Comes up short. And Eugene Washington appeared to be the last player to touch it. No, they just check that. They say it's Cornelius Thomas, who was the last player to get a hand on the ball. Possession goes to the Generals, and they can trim down this 4-point deficit with a bucket on this trip. Checks back in as Jalen Smith, and Smith, dribble penetration and passes tipped out of bounds by Sharon King. Possession stays with the River Region. Jalen Smith working on Cortez Cheney. Scoop, there it is. Jalen Smith now with 14 points. 2-point ball game in favor of Columbus. Cheney out on the perimeter, working off the screen from Daniels. Cheney drops it off to Daniels. And we'll see if, looks like there was a foul on River Region underneath the basket. Was not in the act of shooting, it's on the floor. Thomas will inbound along the baseline. Darrell White driving into the paint, and a nice finish. Right-handed finger roll that goes for Darrell White. He's got 13. 4-point lead now for Columbus. Washington Thompson kicks it over to Haynes from downtown. No good. Rebound goes to King. Vipers on top by 4. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the third period. Daniels spins baseline. His baby hook is no good. Sharon King, yet another offensive board. He's got 23 points. 6-point lead for the Vipers. Isaiah Haynes goes right back on the other end, and Anthony Daniels swatted the shot, but they say he got the body of Isaiah Haynes. And that'll send Haynes to the line to shoot a pair. Isaiah Haynes, one of the more versatile players on this River Region Generals squad. As he knocks down his first free throw. Do a little bit of everything. He can get to the cup. He can crash the glass. He can pull from distance as he comes up 1 of 2 from the charity stripe. 5-point ball game in favor of Columbus. Darrell White getting to the cup yet again. Darrell White starting to get it going here in the third quarter. He's got 7 points this period. And it's a 7-point lead for Columbus. Jalen Smith. Penetration, kick, corner 3, comes up short. Haynes off the mark again from distance, but Keon Brown gets an extra possession. Ball tipped out, 2-on-1 break. Cortez Cheney pulls from the left wing, rattles in and out. Keon Brown with the rebound. Brown all the way to the basket, a little out of control, and they're going to call the foul on Anthony Daniels. Second personal foul this period on Daniels, and we'll send Keon Brown to the line. Good job on the defensive end by Keon Brown as he knocks down his first free throw attempt. It was a 2-on-1 opportunity for, as he was facing Cortez Cheney and Cornelius Thomas, 2 members of the first team all PBA team. He was able to snatch the rebound and get all the way to the other end of the floor. 3-point attempt is no good from the Vipers, but Cornelius Thomas, the man they call Unk, crashing the glass, lays it back up and in. 8-point lead for the Vipers. Final 2 minutes of action. And then Cortez Cheney nearly able to poke that one free against Eugene Washington. He raises his hand. Washington didn't want to inbound. Looks like they have an inbound play dialed up. Jalen Smith will inbound for the Generals. Smith working on Daniels. Step back 3. Just off the mark. Rebound goes to Cheney. Even break. Cheney picks up his dribble. Ball finds its way to Darrell White. Up fake. Up and under scoop. There it is. Darrell White now with 9 points in the quarter. 17 for the contest. Back to a double-digit advantage in favor of Columbus. That ball poked free, and the steal does count this time. Cheney finds Darrell White. White from downtown. Yes, sir! Darrell White from distance. He's got 20 and 10 in this quarter. 13-point lead for Columbus. Darrell White with a one-man run right now. And Jerron Washington Thompson answers with the mid-range jumper along the baseline. Finally ending the run. 82-71 in favor of the Vipers. Final 45 seconds. White from downtown. Yes, sir. 13 points in the quarter. Darrell White getting it going offensively. The quiet assassin strikes in the third period. Three-pointer off the mark. Rebound goes to Darrell White. Outlet up to Cortez Chaney. Final 30 seconds. Ball poked free from Jalen Smith. Handled by Chaney. As nice drop-off pass from Cornelius Thomas to Daniels, who's now in double digits. Scoreboard reads 87-71. Final 10 seconds of the third period. And pulling from distance is Eugene Washington. He's off the mark. Darrell White, full court pass. Couldn't see the end result of that, and it looks like it will not count. And that'll bring to a close the third quarter of action. It's the Columbus Vipers on top of the River Region Generals, 87-71, as you are watching PBA basketball here on Triangle by 1891. Fourth and final quarter of action coming at you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Montgomery, Alabama. We've got the fourth and final quarter of action coming at you here as you are watching PBA basketball on Triangle by 1891 as the Columbus Vipers have a 16-point lead over the River Region Generals heading into the fourth period. I'm Derek Tate flying solo for this one, and if you just are now joining us, you missed a shooting barrage courtesy of Darrell White of the Columbus Vipers. As at one point this got all the way down to a tie ball game in the third period after a 15-point lead in the second period from the Vipers. And boy, Darrell White picking up right where he left off. He's now at 21 points as he had 13 in the second period. Jalen Smith loses the handle. Darrell White on top of him. And both teams want to help up Jalen Smith. We've just had a good old-fashioned battle going both ways. It was the River Region Generals who opened up an 8-point lead in the early goings of the first quarter. The Vipers responded by going on a 34-13 run to close the first period. Then they opened up the Vipers opened up a 15-point lead in the second period, only to watch that completely evaporate, and the Generals pulled dead even in the third period before Darrell White was just unconscious in the third quarter, and it now sits at an 18-point advantage in favor of the Vipers. Both teams going back and forth, and we've seen some spectacular performances on both sides, but Cortez Chaney, Sharon King, and Darrell White have carried the offensive load for the Vipers, while Jalen Smith and Keon Brown and Terrell Hill have all made their contributions to the box score. Here's Keon Brown, up fake, going right to the cup, and boy, a hard foul from Anthony Daniels. That's going to be his third personal. A little old school basketball. Whenever you're going to go into the paint, you're going to feel the presence of a shot blocker. And certainly that's what we saw right there. Daniels, a good hard contest. Keon Brown will go to the line. This Vipers team, talking to head coach Angela Culliver, this team has a common goal in mind, and that is to get over the hump. They have made 2 straight trips to the conference championship round over the last 2 seasons, and both times they have come up just a little bit short, including this past season where Keon Brown knocks down the first free throw attempt, where they lost in the conference championship round to the New Mexico Blue Tails. But some of the additions to this roster, per Angela Culliver, have come in and fit like a glove. She's got these new additions and with some of the experienced players on this roster, as it's a beautiful find from Cortez Cheney over to Brian Patrick, who gets his own miss and cleans it up. Back to an 18-point lead in favor of the Vipers. As Keon Brown pulls from distance, and that one bottoms. A couple feet beyond the three-point line. Down to a 15-point game. Cheney tries his hand from distance. That one off the mark. Rebound goes to Fannin. Vipers get back defensively, and Keon Brown says it doesn't matter. Keon Brown has 7 points to open the fourth and final period for the Generals, and it's a 13-point ball game. Darrell White drops it off. Brian Patrick, mid-range jumper, no good. Looks like Sharon King able to clean up the glass. King now with 23 points. Keon Brown again from distance. Boy, oh boy, he's got 10 here in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Trying to single-handedly get the Generals back into this one. Down to a 12-point lead for Columbus. Ball finds its way to Cornelius Thomas, and a nice shovel pass to Cortez Cheney, who now has 22 points. .7:30 remaining in the fourth and final period. 14-point ball game, and Jerron Washington Thompson, excuse me. Fouled by, we'll see who the call goes against. I believe it was against Brian Patrick. And that will send Jerron Washington Thompson to the line to shoot a pair. Confusion. It looks as if this may have been called on the floor. Generals are not happy about the call. They thought it was in the act of shooting. And Keon Brown decides to pull from nearly the logo. And this time comes up empty. A little heat check. Temperature isn't quite as warm near the midcourt stripe. 13-point ball game. Vipers on top and with possession. Cornelius Thomas on the left wing. Down to Cheney. Cheney on the left block. Fadeaway jumper, no good. Washington with the rebound and a full court outlet pass, 2-on-1 opportunity. And Jalen Smith finishes through the body of Darrell White. 11-point lead now for Columbus. Thomas loses the handle. Smith with the steal. 3-on-2 break. Washington Thompson can't quite get it to finish. Pass over to Darrell White. White with a touch pass to Patrick, too hot to handle. Keon Brown, transition three. Yes, sir! Keon Brown with 13 points in the fourth quarter. It's an 8-point ball game with 6:26 and a timeout from head coach Angela Culliver of the Columbus Vipers. Consecutive turnovers on the offensive end from the Vipers, and it leads to points. Boy, what a fourth quarter from Keon Brown. 13 points, single-handedly trying to keep the River Region Generals in this contest. Keon Brown and Jalen Smith have shouldered a fair amount of the offensive load, and DeMarcus Fannin and Eugene Washington have certainly given them quality minutes and contributions off the bench in this contest. Darrell White, Cortez Cheney, and Sharon King all in have hit the 20-point threshold in this one, along with 10 points from Anthony Daniels. 6:23 remaining in the fourth and final quarter. Vipers with possession and trying to weather the storm of a fierce run from the River Region Generals. Darrell White right out of the timeout. Transition three, no good. Rebound goes to Jalen Smith. Smith loses the handle, poked free by Cortez Cheney. And Daryl White able to get his hands in there as well. Back on the other end, 9-point lead, and a runner rattles home for Cortez Cheney, who has 24 in this one. Final 6 minutes, lead swells back to double digits. Generals trail by 11. Fannin, mid-range, rattles in and out. Rebound goes to Daryl White. Over to Cortez Cheney. Cheney. A little bit of contact. Finds Sharon King in the corner. His three-pointer doesn't go. And DeMarcus Fannin loses the handle. Then a steal on the other end from Eugene Washington. Finds Jalen Smith. Smith, corner three. Yes, sir. Jalen Smith from downtown. The lead is back down to 8 points, nearing the midway point of the fourth and final quarter. The Generals continuing to battle in this one. King loses the handle. Driving baseline. Loses the handle again. Washington can't quite get to it. Ball's on the floor. Jalen Smith picks it up, lays it up and in, and it's a two-possession ball game. 6-point lead now for the Vipers. Daryl White. Off the screen from Patrick. In and out dribble. Daryl White can't quite get it to go. Rebound Washington. A 3-on-0 break, and that's Keon Brown who lays it up and in. The Generals have now made this a 4-point ball game. And another timeout from head coach Angela Culliver. Stadium's starting to rock here in Montgomery, Alabama, amidst a furious comeback from the Generals. It just seems like there's a lid on the basket right now for Columbus. And the Generals, along with their pressure out on the perimeter and have forced multiple turnovers, they're getting out in transition and led by Keon Brown, who now has 15 points in the fourth period. 15. Magnificent performance from River Region here in the fourth period. And we'll see how the Vipers and this experienced and talented backcourt responds. Here we go. Cornelius Thomas to inbound. Cortez Cheney with possession. Pressured by Keon Brown. Brown loses his footing and couldn't quite complete the highlight reel worthy move. Fannin gets the board. Now, open look. Keon Brown, yes sir, it's a 1-point ball game. 16 points in the fourth quarter from Keon Brown. Me, oh my. Crowd loving it. Looked like there was about to be a turnover now from the Vipers. Not sure what the call was. Maybe a backcourt violation. A little bit of confusion, and Columbus is not happy whatsoever with this call. Daryl White and Anthony Daniels trying to appeal to the referee. A huge turn of events because the Generals now can take the lead on this possession. Looks like we're going to get a quick timeout. Both teams are going to try to prepare for what is a crucial possession in this contest. I mean, at one point, I believe it was all the way up to an 18-point lead here in the fourth period, but the Vipers unable to get a couple open looks to fall, and combine that with Some turnovers from the River Region Generals and a 16-point fourth quarter performance from Keon Brown. And we have ourselves a 1-point ball game with 4 minutes remaining in the fourth and final period. Tell you what, if you have not yet done so you don't miss any PBA action, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as we're going to be giving you all kinds of Pro Basketball Association winter season action through the first half of the 2023 calendar year and beyond. If you want pro, you want the PBA. 97-96, Generals trailing by 1, but with possession. We still have more confusion along the baseline. Refs readjust. Here's the inbound. Jalen Smith has the ball at the top of the key. Over to Keon Brown. Brown, pocket pass, and it's a crucial turnover. Steal by Cornelius Thomas. Vipers with a 1-point lead and possession. Thomas going right at the basket, unable to finish. Long board by Jerron Washington Thompson. Finds Jalen Smith. Smith up fake. Runner comes up a bit short. DeMarcus Fannin unable to get an extra possession for the Generals. Jalen Smith had a good look at it from about 14 feet. Just a bit too strong on the runner. And Columbus with a big defensive stop. They now can add to their 1-point lead. Just over 3 minutes remaining. Cortez Chaney working on Keon Brown. Chaney pulls from distance. No good, and that one went off the hand of Jerron Washington Thompson on the air ball. Vipers retain possession. Chaney to inbound along the baseline. Inbound to Brian Patrick. That's Sharon King. And Sharon King with 25 points to match his jersey number. Big boy bucket in the paint for Sharon King. And DeMarcus Fannin still trying to work through that left ankle injury. He'll head to the bench with 3:03 remaining in the contest. Terrell Hill checks back in. 3-point ball game. Generals trailing but had possession. Eugene Washington spins off one would-be defender. Another spin. No good, and there is a foul, and it looks like Eugene Washington will head to the line to shoot a pair. Cornelius Thomas not thrilled with the call. Not often you see 2 spin moves in 1 possession, but Washington able to dismiss Chaney's steal attempt and then pulled another spin on Cornelius Thomas. Had to work through the contact, and he can't quit the first one to go. Deficit remains at 3 points as Washington comes up empty at the charity stripe. Rebound goes to Chaney, trying to make it a 2-possession ball game. Dangerous pass. Sharon King able to save it to Daniels. Daniels now pressured, able to rip the ball loose. Jerron Washington Thompson, and here come the Generals. 5-on-1 break. Drop off to Jerron Washington Thompson, who misses the bunny. Extra possession. Smith to Washington Thompson. That one rattles in and out. What a missed opportunity by the Generals. The bunny didn't go back in the box. And it stays a 3-point ball game. Vipers with the lead and possession. White. Kick over to Daniels for 3. No good. Cornelius Thomas gets the offensive board. He can't get his to go. And then Brian Patrick able to convert on the second chance opportunity. Now it's a 5-point ball game. Keon Brown. Ball poked free, and we're going to call a reach-in foul on Cortez Chaney. Believe it or not, that might have been a fortuitous foul call because it looked like Keon Brown had a red carpet right to the rim. Instead, 1:43 remaining, and it's still a two-possession ball game. Smith finds Hill, over to Brown. Back to Smith. Smith pulls from distance. Yes, sir! Jalen Smith, another three-pointer, and we got ourselves a two-point ball game. Final 80 seconds here in Montgomery, Alabama. Vipers with a two-point lead. A lot of contact on the perimeter. They're going to call Jalen Smith for a blocking foul. Vipers will inbound to the near sideline. Cornelius Thomas working on Smith. Into the paint and a big bucket there from Cornelius Thomas. 1 minute left. Full court pass. Couldn't quite see what happened. It looked like it was tipped out of bounds, and possession will stay with the Generals. 4-point game. It's been a furious comeback by the Generals. Keon Brown, mid-range jumper, a little bit short, rattles in and out. Vipers gather the board. 3-on-3 break. Sharon King from downtown. No good. Rebound goes to Washington. Final 40 seconds. Pulling up, and yes, sir, it's Isaiah Haynes from the baseline. 2-point ball game again. 30 seconds remaining. Excuse me, it's a 1-point ball game. Final 25 seconds. Cheney. Over to White. White heaves one. No good. And it looks like they're going to call a foul on Jalen Smith. Boy, a tough whistle for the River Region Generals. It looked like Darrell White was off balance. No doubt that there was a little bit of contact. You can certainly try to make a case that it was White that initiated the contact as he comes up clutch from the free throw line on his first free throw attempt. Now it's a 2-point lead for Columbus. A whistle that really could have gone either way. And Darrell White makes it a 3-point ball game with 12 seconds remaining. This is a monster free throw. White rattles in and out, and it stays a one-possession ball game. Terrell Hill able to gather it. Final 8 seconds. Over Keon Brown from downtown. It's blocked by Cortez Cheney. Darrell White hangs on, and we may have a foul with 2 seconds remaining. Oh my goodness. What a defensive play by the floor general. Getting a piece of that game-tying attempt from Keon Brown. There's a reason why they call him the floor general. One of the leaders of this team and makes plays on both sides of the court. As Darrell White makes this one nearly out of reach. A now 2-possession game with 2 seconds remaining. And me, oh my, the Columbus Vipers look like they're going to hold on for yet another victory, and looks like it's going to be a 5-point victory unless this one goes on the full court heave, and that'll do it. What a battle we had between the River Region Generals and the Columbus Vipers, as the Vipers take this one by a final score of 107-102. And you're taking a look at the final box score, and we'll go ahead and give our player of the game to number 25, Sharon King of the Columbus Vipers, off the bench with 29 points, a double-double, 10 boards to go alongside it, knocked down 4 3-pointers, and also win a perfect 5 for 5 from the line. There were performances all across on both teams. Certainly Darrell White, Cortez Cheney also did a lot of work on the offensive end for the Columbus Vipers, but then you also look for the River Region Generals. They don't get back into it without that outstanding performance in the fourth period by Keon Brown. Unfortunately, it's the River Region Generals that come up a little bit short, but they have a lot of positives to take away from this contest as the Vipers take this one by a final score of 107-102. Thank you for tuning into this edition of PBA Basketball here on Triangle by 1891. And until next time, later, says the Tater.
Good handle. What a shot. Breakaway dunk.